Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Joe. Here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
We've done a few ISOM videos up till now. They've proven popular here on the Sci-Fi corner. Well, popular for our channel, given that we don't normally get over 100 views maybe here. And our other channels are shadow banned, so it's not like they're going to get much views either, except for a horror channel, which is pretty funny. Just, I think that's the only one that's actually doing well. Anyways, before we start, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button here, as that will help, as we're not getting any help from the algorithm. Also, go over to our other channels, subscribe to all those, because, as said, we're not going to be getting any help from the algorithm. Because bloody YouTube. Anyways, we're here. We're going to be watching Alpha Core number 1, issue 1, official animated trailer, Rippaverse Studios. Let's see this.
Floorspar can be an unpredictable city. Affluency doesn't mitigate its problems. In some ways, it amplifies.
Okay, how did that bird fly so high so quickly? I'm joking.
This is why we're deployed. But we've seen better days.
Okay, so they're deployed to fight crime. They're apparently the equivalent of S.H.I.E.L.D., at least superpowered S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just saying they have the helicarrier. And they went to fight Yera when she went to fight criminals. Why? Why would they keep her from fighting crime? Because if she's fighting crime, she's doing the right thing. They're preventing her from doing the right thing.
To me, it looked like she was going after the police.
No. I think she's going after, like, let's look at that again. Oh, yeah, she's going after the police. Never mind. I was wrong. Wow. Okay, so yeah, they're in the right. Never mind. Scratch what I said. She's a supervillainess. That's right. I blanked on issue 1 there. In issue 1, she's clearly a supervillainess. So,
But we've seen better days.
okay. Oh, cool. Oh, I was hoping it was a construct.
The march is now debriefing.
This mission is not complete.
However, our lack of data collection is a problem.
Valdez, I'm aware of your investigative talents. Braxwell spoke highly of you, and that's why you're on this team.
Okay.
Local law enforcement handles itself very well. But there are those with abilities. Some believe themselves to be good. Others don't even attempt to act as if they are. Either way, we're involved. Not everyone will agree with our status. And that can be said for anything.
He used a freaking table. Should have used a chair.
No,
Give
no,
him
no.
the chair.
No. He had to go one up over that.
Yeah, but a chair is better. Come on. What you should ask yourself when writing stories like this is, what would Shrek do? Well, Shrek would probably have used the table if he could, because there was no table on hand, so he used a chair. So okay, fine, fine. Table it is.
May I remind you both, we're Alpha Core, and failure is not what we do.
Failure is not what we do. That's not a well-written sentence. Failure is not what we do. So, oh my gosh.
Going with the classic failure is not an option might be best.
Well, no, that's a classic. So go with that one. But failure is not what we do. Meaning, were you aiming for it or not? It sounds like you're aiming for failure, but you're not. You're failing at failing.
Here,
Now, on the other hand, the outro here, like with the Rippaverse Studios thing, is a pretty cool idea. But no, it's well done there.
the animation,
Could be better, but bear in mind they don't have the large budget of like the 90s. But the fact that they founded a studio, probably to lead into that, is probably a good idea. Now, they did have the sense to hire voice actors. So, in that regard, that's good. The trouble is, Yura, I believe they're trying to market as a heroine, but she just tried to attack police. She's basically fighting against what I'm going to assume is supposed to be the Justice League here. Like, she's the villainess. And she did try to murder Isom. So, are we supposed to think she's the Mystique here of this universe? Or the Wanda Maximoff?
neither of those would give her a very
Yeah, like, I'm not comparing her to either to compliment her. I mean, both of them are pretty nasty supervillainesses. And pretty loony. But the trouble I have is I don't recognize any of the villains. I'm kind of mad towards the characters overall so far. And honestly, issue number 2 was kind of really bad. Like, really bad. So, I'll say this. The trailer is pretty good. Chuck Dixon is writing, so that lends a bit of hope. That tends to inspire a bit of hope in one. But, now, the Electric Old Man, I don't think is a good idea because, one, the trouble with an old man character like that who's not Magneto or something, and making him look that decrepit is, it's hard to think of him as a threat. Considering he's going to be so old, you punch him, he's going to keel over. As for, well, the fire guy, he looked pretty good.
I didn't mind his design.
Oh yeah, his design was pretty good. I like that one. And the fact that a table was used in combat. Yeah. But the thing is, so far this Rippaverse universe is not off to a good start. It started off mediocre, then it face planted, and although this trailer is hey, it's pretty good. The coloring is really good. Like, you look at here, I'm kind of wondering if they used the background design here of Spider-Man animated series from the 90s. Because you can kind of tell with the coloring and shading, as well as the design here, this shade of beige was used frequently in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. And these sort of buildings were common as well in there. And this outcropping here, this was clearly something that they used in the 90s cartoon. Now, I majored in animation for a bit. I'm not saying I was a incredible animator, but looking at this sort of thing was something I was supposed to do. And the 90s cartoon was simply what I wanted to look at because it was either that or, I don't know. But The thing is, the background I recognize. And you can clearly tell, I think they probably put it together themselves. But they were looking at that kind of animation and background design. So, in that regard, the nod to the 90s Spider-Man, there's a nice touch. Because it had way better background design, or I should say, just, what was the term? But, well, it had better background design, better character designs, better everything than every other animated series in the 90s. For example, the Batman one, and the Superman one as well, Static Shock. None of them came close to having the great set design pieces and character designs of Spider-Man. While I do like the X-Men designs in a lot of cases, except Wolverine, who's a little too old and is looking like he's going to need a walker, and sounds like it, and Xavier, who looks like he's a psychopathic villain, the character designs and background designs in that series were pretty good. So this is a case where, like, you look here. Look at these backgrounds. These are lovely, lovely. Now, the trouble is, this guy does not have a personality. He has not talked. I don't care about him. If you were to remove him from the trailer and from the team, I'd be left going, okay. You could replace him with the Alpha Core guy.
And that's the thing, is that we know what's Alpha Core's objective and goals. But we don't know the characters. We don't have a clue into who they are. The only one that we really have a clue
Is the female one, because she's an investigator. But the trouble is, we don't care about these characters. We're not shown anything about them. This was supposed to be an animated trailer for them, but we got a lot of action set pieces and references to the previous 2 issues, but nothing else. Like, okay, if we were to show the Spider-Man 90s cartoon trailer or something of just any random episode, you'd probably see that they're trying to sell Peter Parker and the plot of the episode. Like, for example, the symbiote one had, you did have the action set pieces, but you had Peter's line of, I've developed a little more than just a backbone lately. To Flash, you had Felicia saying, Peter, you're starting to scare me. And you had Kirk Connors' great line of, you have to get rid of it, referring to the symbiote. And Peter saying, I need it. At which point, we see him engage in some action scenes. Sure. But there we got the idea of what the story is. Peter's going off the rails, going a little bonkers. His friends and family are worried about him. And it ends with him proclaiming his invincibility, sounding like a lunatic while doing so, as he tries to hunt down Shocker. This is setting up, in about a minute and a half, I think, the premise. Here, I have no idea. Like, the thing is, okay, so Alpha Core fight crime. But who are the characters? Who is Alpha Core? We know what Alpha Core is, but we don't know who Alpha Core is. And that's the whole problem. And I think that's the problem with most of the superheroes we've seen so far in this story, is that they are not there for us to care about. It's this whole, we got to have the superheroes fight each other, which admittedly Stan Lee kind of pioneered alongside Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. But the problem with that whole idea is that, okay, for one thing, Stan generally only did it, like, I think the first time, when the heroes first meet each other, or the odd time after that. But generally, he tried to kind of space it out. And his premise was that we needed first to come to care for the characters. So, like, when Fantastic Four would fight Spider-Man, because Spider-Man was getting a little flirty with Susan Storm, and of course Namor comes in, deciding to take her place temporarily, at least in the context of the fight, in order, because, you know, no guy's going to get to perv out on Susan except him. So you have Spider-Man versus 3 of the Fantastic Four and Namor. It's a great fight, but the story is also sold to us as Susan ended up basically deciding to agree to a date with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's not happy because all she does is talk about Reed, which you can't blame him for not being happy about that. But on the other hand, we have the fight, we've got the characters, we do care about Reed Richards. He is jealous, but he is trying to rein in Johnny and Namor. Never an easy task. Ben Grimm's trying to back up Reed because bros. And he doesn't like Spider-Man, so he kind of wants to squash him himself. But you see, we have a whole story. Now, by then, the characters have already been established. We have Spider-Man. We know Peter. We love Peter. He's the greatest guy ever. We know Reed Richards. We love him. I mean, he smacks Susan around. We all love and approve of that. I'm joking. Actually, no, that stuff was not always fun to read. But that was generally the earlier Fantastic Four days. Let's just be fair. But at the same time, we come to care for Reed. He's the scientist and father figure of the Fantastic Four. Johnny's the impulsive punk. You've got, of course, Ben Grimm, who he's the reliable, good old Ben. Basically, he's got the personality of Ben Parker with kind of the powers of the Hulk, except he can't turn it off. And he's cursed in a way, just as Bruce Banner is supposed to be. You have, of course, Susan Storm, who is the Invisible Woman, and she's there to fetch sandwiches. I'm joking. I have to crack these jokes. I'm sorry, people. I can't help it. But actually, Susan is probably the most powerful of the Fantastic Four. That was almost always supposed to be the case. And she's the stubborn... Traditionally, like in the older days, she was the lovable lady who had a heart of gold, but was constantly frustrated by how irresponsible Johnny is. Arguably, the best depiction of the Fantastic Four is probably the live-action 2004 movie, as it got all the characters right, at least at their core archetypal essence. But the problem here is we've got a trinity of sorts, but we don't know them. Now, they're fighting with all the heroes, but why should we care? As to the characters themselves, we don't know them, we don't care about them. Because what is Alpha Femme's personality? I don't know, she's an investigator. Okay, what does she do for a living outside of the costume? I don't know, I guess she's an investigator. What does she think of her teammates? I don't know, she's an investigator. What about the guy with the visor? What do we know about him? I don't know, he's got a visor. Like,
where's their personal stakes in this? And it doesn't need to be a whole trailer long. But
like, you can introduce those stakes, those personal sides of the character in under a few seconds. Alpha Dude, I'll call him Alpha Dude. I don't know his name. Alpha Dude, what is his stake in all this? Like, arguably, there should be a personal stake in everything. And arguably, the heroes should, like, have something that appeals to us about them. And you could introduce the idea of Superman. You could introduce, like, because with Superman, he was introduced and we all care about him because we see him as an infant. We see the destruction of Krypton. We see this innocent child jettisoned to Earth. And then what do we see? We see him grow up. And while the Man of Steel movie was not a great adaptation, but the one scene in there, taken from the Jeff Jones Secret Origins of Superman story, which is a great origin story, does a great job of cementing Clark in a way that makes our heart go out to him when he says, "Can't I keep pretending I'm your son?" to Jonathan. And of course you have that great response from Jonathan Kent. "You are my son." Right there, we come to love Jonathan because he's the ultimate father in a way. He doesn't care where his son comes from. He loves him. And we care about Clark because we know that Clark is yearning to just be human. He's greater than any of us. But he just wants to be one of us. But at the same time, when he reaches adulthood and he steps into the role of the aspirational hero that is Superman, larger than life, arguably, well, like I said, Man of Steel is not a great film. The line about how humanity will race after Clark and they will stumble and fall and ultimately come to join Clark in the sun is important. That's the idea of Clark. He's here to inspire us. And this, even the Man of Steel movie may not have been great, but the trailer was. We learn to love Clark. We aspire after him in a way. And that's what he's there for. Spider-Man's there for us to aspire after. Because he embodies the sentiment of, with great power, there must always come great responsibility. And you've got, of course, with the Fantastic Four, it's a good comparison. But you also have the Justice League. The Justice League, we got to know each individual hero, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Martian Manhunter. And when they come together, it feels all the more epic. It feels greater than anything they've ever done before. But we got to know them. We got to see how great they were. We got to know and love Clark. We got to know Diana. We got to see Bruce go from a shattered orphan into a man who reforges himself so that no child will ever have to endure what he has suffered. We got to know Barry Allen. We got to know Hal. Hal, who honestly got to experience one of the worst moments of fear a man or a child could ever endure when he watched his father blown up, shattering his illusions about the greatness and perfection and invincibility of his father. Then he had that moment beaten into him every day of his life by his mom and his older brother. And did he let that stop him? No. He still aspired to fly like his dad did, aspired not just to fly, but to become his father in a way, to become the same sort of man, so that he could, in the words of Martin Jordan, keep it warm, keep the jacket warm, wear it right. And he does. So that's arguably, it's arguably character traits like that, as the essence of the archetype that you aspire after is supposed to be embodied in that kind of, like, okay, how should I word it? Each hero is an archetype. Each hero plays a certain role on the team. Each hero needs to come together alongside the others to become a family, because the superhero team is supposed to be more than a family. They're the modern day Knights of the Round, and the Knights of the Round are supposed to all be a family to each other. So that's where this has not been conveyed well here, I will argue. Alpha Core, the official trailer, I will say, is just a series of montages with random words sparkled in. This is not well done. This is not well written. It could be better, and the dialogue could be better. So while it is excellently animated and the animation is well done, the colors are good, the character designs are pretty good, but we don't get a sense that these characters know each other at all. Remember, it's mentioned that she's an investigator. She's new here because she's trying to explain to him, hey, I'm good at my job. Obviously, she was just handpicked for the job. Like he explains, I am well aware of your talents as an investigator. But the way it's said, the two don't, like, this is almost their first time working with each other. Or at least she's new to the team. As for this guy, he doesn't exist. Like, I don't know. He doesn't talk or do anything. So
he's just there.
Yeah. So we actually only have 2 team members. Which, one guy, I don't know him. He's supposed to be strong and manly, but okay. But he's not warm and kind like Clark. He's not intimidating, yet well, I guess kind would be the right word for Bruce as well, deep down, because there is a core of goodness to Bruce. Or hopeful and gentle like Barry, or even like Wally. And he's not funny and just inspirational like Hal, or even snarky and lovable like Peter. So, like, arguably, this is just this team feels very disconnected. So let's hope that the next trailer, because I think it's probably, well, it's the second trailer, but I hope there's a third one. Hopefully there's going to be some ideas revamped, and hopefully we'll get to know these characters, because the animation and the coloring is good. The shading is also really great. Look at that. But if you had to give it a rating, what would it be?
I would have to say, right now it'd be a 1.5. We see the overall goal of the team, but we don't know the personal stakes. You used Batman and Green Lantern. That's why they joined the Justice League.
Yeah.
That's their personal stake in the matter. These three, we get a semblance of what she finds is important, but not enough.
Well,
But-
I don't know what she finds important.
It's like she's an investigator.
Okay, but
But-
is she coming in from a cop background, or is it just that she's the investigator on this team? These
That-
are two distinctive things.
Exactly. So we don't see that complete side. We don't see the motivation of the two others, why they join Alpha Corps.
Yeah. I think for this guy who's either that or open up, I don't know, hot dog stand. It honestly, can you see him with the apron and just like on the side of the road, ready to like,
With
grab your
that
hot dog?
helmet serving hot dogs.
Yes. Actually, if anyone who watches this video owns a hot dog stand, please put on a helmet like that, go out to work, sell your hot dogs, and just, like, I don't know, it could be hilarious. But, yeah, this is not a great video. So yeah,
That's why you're on.
So don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button to stay tuned for our next video.